Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new here. Today, welcome especially if you are somebody that enjoys being alone or sees the value in solitude. I just have to make a disclaimer very quickly. The light is changing very frequently to very, very bright to very, very overcast. And I live in an open house, so if you hear any construction noises or any noises, trucks passing by, whatever, please just try to ignore it. So, as one of those people that values solitude, I started to learn the art of it whenever I was in my second year of college. I really became enamored with the idea of being alone, and I learned how to take it much further than I ever expected was possible in the beginning. At first, I thought that I just wanted to be alone, be away from people, be away from the city, be away from society. I was kind of an outcast. But then I started to realize that I wanted to do much more than that. I wanted total self-encapsulation. I wanted to feel like the only person in the world. I wanted to feel untainted by the outside. I wanted to feel like I could say anything or be anything or think anything without judgment. And I wanted to briefly create, for an evening, this small environment where I could be myself totally without filter. I wanted to create a solipsistic kingdom for myself. I discovered this word, solipsism, in college about a year after I started to do this whole art of solitude. I had really expanded my vocabulary during the second and third years of college. And so solipsism means that only your mind is sure to exist, only you and your own mind, and that nobody else, no other person's presence is guaranteed. You are the sole author of reality. So out of this newfound philosophy, I started to apply that to my solitude and take my solitude way more seriously. I was in a whole new league of loner at this point. I really wanted to bathe in this exquisite feeling that loneliness had brought me. The comfort and the warmth and the safety that it provided me. This carefully curated cloudscape that I could just escape into and forget the world down below. I wanted to recede into myself, to evaporate and leave behind a sediment of vague ideas that I had of myself. I would even go so far as to pretend that my body didn't even exist, that I was just only my thoughts and feelings and ecstasies. I would write poems about this transient feeling. I would look at art and I would reflect on the concepts and the manifestations of higher men and women than me so that I could emulate their omniscience. I'd listen to classical music in A minor and just feel myself sink deeper with every crescendo. The outline of my body, just the edge of a pool of quicksand, and my soul just sinking through the center. I desired and often achieved being lifted out of physicality. And so about a year later, I came across another word while reading, incorporeal. This is one of my favorite words. Incorporeal means something that is not composed of matter. This term frequently has a religious application, as it is the distinction of God, of angels and ghosts alike. That is what I wanted to achieve. That word, to be incorporeal, to not be human, to exist in the suburbia of gods. It was hard to achieve because it's difficult to forget about your body, but I had a method. I had a process, and I would like to share that process with you. I want you to experience the sweetest of delights, to be solipsistic, to be incorporeal, to transcend your body, to be nothing but an idea of yourself, the freedom of that, of being pure impulse, pure essence, to feel like the only person in the world. So I'm going to be looking at my computer a lot during this part of the video. I have a list of bullet points, and I'm going to elaborate on each of them. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to make sure that you have completed all of your tasks. No responsibilities, no commitments, no human, nothing. No laundry that you need to do, no homework that you need to do, nothing that you need to do, nothing that tethers you to the world. You need a clean slate so that you have the freedom to be able to feel this solipsism, this that you don't have ties to the world. The second one is you need to be alone. That's the obvious part. Find a place that you can be completely and totally alone, and that nobody will interfere with this feeling like nobody else exists. The third thing is make sure it's nighttime. Make sure if you're in your home that it's nighttime or that the room is dark or dim, because I've always found that the nighttime is I've always described it in some of my more depressive states. I always described the daytime as being very distracting. If you're not part of society, if you don't feel like you're part of the world, and you feel like you're falling behind, like you're not doing something or whatever, you need to be doing this at a time where you feel like you can be free, where you feel like you're not thinking about what other people are doing or, who's getting ahead in their life or whatever. At the time when I started doing this, I felt very lost. I didn't know what I wanted my career to be, things like that. So especially living in a city during the day, seeing people bustling around everywhere, it was horrible. I hated seeing it. I just wanted to, and this was at a time where I used to sleep like my sleep schedule was all insane. I would wake up at like 7 p.m. I hated the daytime that much. I hated that obligation to be something so much that I would sometimes completely change my sleep cycle upside down. Anyway, do this at night so you don't have that pressure, that humanistic pressure of the daytime, if that makes any sense. And if you're in a room that's kind of dark, it often feels like a womb-like state, and that's what you want. You want this encapsulation. So in addition to a dark room, get a little bit of incense or a candle, a flickering flame, something soft is really good for trying to get yourself into this mood. And smells really help. I really like woody, like tobacco smells, that just smells that are deep, not like bright and cheerful like cranberry. Get something that's hearty. The next thing you should do is crack open a window if you can. Ideally, you would be in a situation where you hear maybe rain or the sound of air on the pavement in your neighborhood, or crickets or wind. Those are great sounds. I lived in a city and I liked the sound of people below. People who were, going to the bar, people who are like living their life and, they're after, like they're coming home from work. I liked the sound of people below because I lived very high up in a building. I lived on like the 9th floor. So I liked hearing distant sounds of people because it felt like I was ascending. I was away from them. I was higher up. So that helped me. I liked that drone of voices and people. And it helps any kind of noise, whether or not you're living in a city or if you're living at home. Any kind of noise or sound of nature is a great rhythm for your brain to follow. It's kind of like a soft melody. And it really helps me focus and it really helps me get into, and I think it will help you get into this kind of mood. Next thing you need to do is just make sure you're comfortable. Heat lamps are awesome. That like very nice, like extreme heat on like a certain part of your body is great. Make sure you have a blanket. Just you don't want to feel uncomfortable. You don't want to be too cold. You don't want to be too hot. You don't want anything that makes you too aware of your body. Ideally, being a little bit more than warm is good for the body, so you can kind of like level out with the temperature of the room. Next, if you're going to listen to music, which I think is a good idea, I do that, make sure there's no vocals. You don't want to stir up too many emotions. You don't want to, empathize with the lyrics too much. You don't want to be voyeuristic and think about like the song or be nostalgic. You want music that is a melody. You want that kind of drone, just like cracking open a window. You want to kind of put yourself into a trance-like state where you're calm. Vocals stir up way too many emotions in me, generally. Some songs are fine because they're kind of monotone, but most of the time just go for music that doesn't have any vocals in it. Jazz is really nice. There are plenty of playlists on Spotify that you can look up. Lay down is the next thing. Don't sit up yet. You can sit up later. But for right now, just lay down and relax. Let all of your bones fall into place. Sitting up is a little bit too alert for the beginning part of this. And now this sounds kind of like we're trying to fall asleep, but it's more like a meditation. We're just trying to get you into occupying this world that you've created for yourself. That's all we're trying to do. We're just trying to cut that tie, to sever the bond between you and life and all that. So this is the second to last thing. This is the climax, one of the most important things, is to touch your skin softly. And I know that this may sound like we're trying to awaken the body, like we're trying to be aware of the body. But in fact, I've seen this to be the complete opposite. Because whenever I've done this, I focus on the feeling of being touched, not the physical act of touching my skin. You want to lose yourself in this process. The body is the barrier, but you're trying to get past that. And basically, you want to lose yourself in the feeling to the point where you're totally enveloped in your body's response to the touch, not so much the action. You don't question the act or think about what you're doing. It should feel natural to you, especially after a minute or two. And this is kind of where I dive headfirst into a trance-like state. And it completely lifts me out of the world and into my sacred little holy kingdom in the sky. To touch the skin softly, just touch your arms, your face, your neck, your chest, your legs, whatever feels comfortable and natural. It's a way to focus on feeling rather than being. So now after you've done that, you've broken through, you've punctured the seal, and now you're in your holy place. Now's the time to get creative with your thoughts. I like to do all kinds of things. I like to read really absurd fiction. I love to listen to classical music. I'll draw, I'll write, I'll watch art documentaries. I will do anything that does not involve the restrictions of reality. I will think about anything. Whatever I want to entertain in my mind. No matter how ridiculous it is, I will do that in this space, in this time. That is the absolute law of this ritual, of whenever, especially you're in this step. Do not entertain reality. Stop doing that. You do that all day long. Why would you do that here? Entertain anything that you want, any eventuality, any possibility. Do not scroll through Instagram. Do not watch the news. Don't take a walk. Don't read nonfiction. I try to really keep my mind fixated on lofty ideas, theories, impossibilities. This is really a time for you to thrive in your irrationality, in your fantasies, because all day long, all week, all your goddamn life, everyone is just trying to tell you what to think, what is right, what is rational, what is practical. Just take this time to entertain whatever you want, whatever reality you want to live in. Lay it all down in this kingdom, in this space. This is a sacred space. This is a safe place. Sometimes I just lay there and dream about things that could only survive in theory. I'll do that for 2 hours. This kind of solipsism that I uncovered during this time in college was bred from repressed desires and the value that I put on fantasy. I mean, goddammit, we have an imagination for a reason. There's a reason why people paint. There's a reason why people write novels. There's a reason why people take 5-day hikes into the mountains. It is escapism. It is a coping mechanism for life. Life cannot satisfy our needs. The world is necessarily formal and life is wrought with compromise. So thank God for imagination. Thank God for the beauty of being alone with your own thoughts and letting your fantasies run wild and entertaining everything, anything. Being alone with yourself is a time to recharge. It's a time to enrich yourself and to enjoy beauty and useless knowledge. Feeling like the only existing mind, feeling like other people don't exist, is something that brings my soul close to the surface of my skin. It reminds me of what I believe in, what matters to me. It brings me back to life. And the next day, I walk with languor, feeling sheer, like I'm not fully there, like I'm passing in between two worlds. I mean, this ritual for me has such a strong impact that I often feel it the next day. It's like an opiate. It's like a sedative almost. And I have to like snap out of it and like go back into reality. It's excruciating. So give it a try if you're into that. Okay, that is the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all of your comments, all of your feedback, all of your entertaining responses. I really appreciate everybody that watches my channel, that watches my videos, that sees the value in the things that I'm saying. So make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, turn the bell on for notifications, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.